Welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over my predictions for the 2023-2024 college football season. I'm going to say who I think is going to be making the playoffs, go over some rough schedule guesses for some of the top teams. I got like 15 teams I went through, predicted their records, and then gave a couple honorable mentions. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get right into I got some notes here for my schedules, who I think should be good, who I think should be not. This is a rough estimate. I'm going to go into more depth in like conference by conference and more schedule breakdowns once we get closer to the season. But this is just kind of that preseason. What are we looking at going into the season? Who do we think is going to be good? Let's go ahead and get right into the records. All right, going ahead here, getting into my record predictions. Now, keep in mind, I looked at all the schedules and I didn't like go like exact like this game they win, this game they lose. I kind of looked at, I was like, you can see here kind of I'm like they have two tough matchups. This team I think is going to lose one of those two. So kind of just more general, broad. Like I said, I'll go into the specific conferences when it gets close to the season. But let's go and get right into this. I'm not trying to make a super long video. But first up, we got Georgia, the reigning national champions, coming in. I have them predicted at 12-0, and I know Georgia's not going to be as good. They lost Stetson Bennett, who played really well for them. But, like, honestly, I don't care who their quarterback is. Like, that team just has so much talent on defense. And, like, we saw, like, even back in the days when, like, Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels were battling out when they beat Bama 2 years ago in the national championship. Like, they didn't have good quarterback play, and they were still undefeated because they're the best defense in, like, the last, like, 20 years since, like, Miami. So they just build their team really well. Their offense, lots of returning guys on that offense. They have a lot of talent that just I don't think quarterbacks can be that important, and I think they'll be able to get good quarterback play. Kirby Smart's a great coach. I have here their only tough games are Ole Miss and Tennessee. Ole Miss I don't really know about. I like Jackson Dart. I don't know. I assume he's going to be the starter, but they're kind of like up and down. And then Tennessee, I'm a little lower in Tennessee than a lot of people are with Joe Milton. I got to see more from Joe Milton to fully believe that he can lead Tennessee because, like, Hendon Hooker was incredible last year, and that's part of the reason they were so good. So I'm a little questionable about Tennessee, but like, Ole Miss and Tennessee are their only tough games. Then it really comes down to the SEC championship. And in that SEC championship, I predict, keep in mind, this isn't, I'll show you later who I think is going to win the championship games. This is just regular season. Next up, who I think they'll play in the SEC championship is Alabama. I have them going 11-1. They're not going to have as good quarterback play as they did last year. That's nothing crazy. Bryce Young was the number one pick and incredible. But they're a team like Georgia. They just have an incredible team, incredible coach. They're always going to be good. Their schedule is not too tough. They have a couple games. I'm predicting they lose one of Texas or LSU. Texas, they do play at home, so I think that gives them a big advantage because I am really high on Texas, but that game being in Bama might give them the slight edge, but I think they could definitely lose a game to like LSU, mostly because of that quarterback. Like last year, if they had Bryce Young healthy for the whole season, I don't think they lose one of those games. But this year, with a little bit more questionable quarterback play, and just losing some talent, I think some of those receivers are really going to step up this year. I still really like their running backs. They still have dudes all over that defense. Dallas Turner, I expect to have a huge year. Kool-Aid McKinstry, best corner. Like that defense is going to be locked down. But they're just going to lose a funny game just because like you need a good quarterback to win every single game. It's hard to go undefeated. And I just think they slip up one game. That's all I'm saying. Now going into where it gets hard. Ohio State, I have going 12-0. I have them beating Michigan in Michigan last game of the season. I just don't think Ohio State loses 3 years in a row, or was it 4 now, to Michigan. I think they're going to have the best defense in the nation. I mean, you look at this defense on paper. I mean, they have just dudes all over the board from Denzel Burke, Tyleik Williams, Marvin Hall, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Tommy Eichenberg. Like that defense I personally think is going to be the best defense in the nation. They have like potentially like 5 or 6 first round dudes on that defense. I love that defense. They still have Marvin Harrison on offense. They still have the incredible running back duo. Like this offense should still click even with Kyle McCord in at quarterback. I think he's gonna have a solid season. I don't know if he'll have like what Stroud did, but like he just has to have a solid season, especially with Emeka Buka too. I didn't even mention. Like I'm not even mentioning dudes like Stover. There's tons of dudes I'm not even gonna mention. That team is so talented. It all just comes down to Michigan for me, and I think they finally do it this year. Next up, we got USC. This is hard. I mean, USC is like I don't want to have them going 11-1 because like I just know they're gonna lose dumb games. I just like Lincoln Riley, Kid Williams, but like when you just look at this team on paper, they shouldn't go. I have them going 11-1. They have a tough schedule because I think the Pac-12 is going to be one of the most competitive conferences in the nation this year. I mean, you got USC, Washington, Oregon, Utah. Oregon State's going to be good. Colorado's going to play upset and win probably one huge game. I don't think they're going to compete, but they're going to be a challenge for some teams. UCLA is going to be solid. I think DTR is a big loss for them, and why I don't really have them as high as some people might, but that Pac-12 is packed, which is really good teams this year. So I have them losing one of Washington or Oregon near the end of the season. I believe those like 2 of their last 3 games. So they come down a hard stretch. I think they beat Notre Dame. I know some people put Notre Dame in their playoffs. We'll talk about them later, but I'm not as high on Notre Dame as other people. And Utah's going to be another tough game. So, I mean, they got some tough games. But I have them going 11-1. I just think Caleb Williams is going to ball. Lincoln Riley is an incredible coach. Another year with his talent to kind of mesh together. Mario Williams is going to have an incredible year at receiver. They got Brendan Rice coming back, who I think might have a good year too. They just got talent all over the board. And they got a couple defensive players that are really good too. So, USC, I have 11-1. That's a tough one, though. I could see the Pac-12 going any way. I just personally think USC comes out on top because of Caleb Williams. Next up is my team. I'm not a Florida State fan, but I'm rooting for them this year because I'm so high on them. I know I'm probably like the highest in the nation on this team. I have them going 11-1. I have them. LSU is going to be tough out the gate week 1. That's going to be an incredible game for week 1. I have them beating LSU. I have them losing to Clemson. Because that game's at Clemson. So I think Clemson is a really good team. I have them losing that game. But you'll see later who I have actually winning the ACC. But I have them going 11-1, having an incredible season. I mean, that team, I'm a big Jordan Travis fan. I see a lot of Jalen Hurts in him, which I like. They got some receivers, Johnny Wilson. They got Fentrell Cypress on defense. Jared Verse came back. I love the talent on this team. And in a weak ACC where I think it's really a 2-horse race, you're going to have some other, like Miami, North Carolina are going to be solid. But I think it's really a 2-horse race between them and this next team, Clemson, who I also have going 11-1. Their only tough games are Florida State home and home versus Notre Dame. So I guess I kind of have them losing to Notre Dame or just another dumb game because it is Clemson. Like, they lose dumb games. Like, they could lose to North Carolina or South Carolina. That's kind of what Clemson has been the last couple of years. But Clemson is another team that defense is going to be solid for Clemson. I mean, it always is. They have talent all over the board. Shipley coming back. They got dudes. I love Nate Wiggins at corner for them. He's a feisty kind of dude. They got Makuba at safety, Tyler Davis in the middle. I mean, there's still talent everywhere on this team. And like I said, they have a really easy schedule. I was like, I don't think Clemson's going to be that great of a team. But when you look at their schedules, like, who are they going to lose to? I give them one loss just because I don't see them going undefeated, but I don't really know who that loss is. I guess I put Notre Dame or Florida State, but they got a pretty easy schedule. So I have them going 11-1. Texas, I think Texas is going to run the Big 12. Another team where I think they have a really easy schedule. I don't think the Big 12 is going to be that competitive. I think Oklahoma is always going to be solid. They're not the same Oklahoma when Riley was there. I have them losing to Bama week 2. That game's in Alabama. That's a tough one. So I have them losing that and then winning out. Oregon next up. Bo Nix coming back. He had an incredible year last year. They got tons of talent still on that team. I think they're going to be a really good team. I have them going 10-2. And I said they're probably losing 2 of USC, Utah, and Washington. Those are just 3 really tough games that I think they lose 2 of them. I don't think they're like that incredible team, but they're going to be really solid. Washington, I have them in a similar spot. I think Washington only loses to USC. I personally have Washington a little above Oregon. I like Washington's defense, some of the dudes they have. I did some scouting report on some of the, like Braylon Trice and Zion, whatever his last name is. I'm sorry, I forgot. They have a really good receiver whose name is just Roma Duns. Really good receiver. Michael Penix, it's really just if he stays healthy. But I love that Washington squad. I have them going 11-1. Only lost to USC. Okay, I'll go ahead and talk about Michigan real quick. Michigan, I have them. They're going to be a really good team. They didn't lose a lot of guys this year, which is good. They lost a couple, like DJ Turner and some other guys on the offense. But recently, they have a lot of dudes coming back. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. That run game is still going to be nasty. J.J. McCarthy coming back. That offense will still be humming, but the only loss I have is Ohio State last week this season, which we already talked about with Ohio State. Now going through these last ones kind of a little fast. LSU, I'm going 9-3. Personally, not a big Jaden Daniels fan. So that's why I have them. They do have a really good team, but quarterback play is my question mark for them. I think they lose to Florida State. I think they lose to Bama, and then one of Ole Miss or A&M because they're LSU, and I don't trust them. Penn State 9-3. I think they lose to Ohio State, Michigan. They're a really good team, but it's just Ohio State, Michigan I personally like better. And then I put they're gonna lose one other random game because they're Penn State. So Tennessee, like I said, I'm not as high on Tennessee as others. I have them losing to Georgia, Bama, and then one of Kentucky, A&M, or South Carolina. Like I said, not a huge Joe Milton fan yet. He can prove me wrong. I know he's got a great arm, but I don't want to see him do it for a full season. I think Hendon Hooker was way more important than people are giving him credit for that team last year. Notre Dame, a lot of people are really high, and I'm going 9-3. I think they lose Clemson, Ohio State, and USC. I know I'm pretty sure 2 of those 3 games are at home, which will help them, but as much as I like Sam Hartman, that was a great pickup. I like Sam Hartman. I don't love Sam Hartman, especially with that offense. I think they're going to need their quarterback to pick up a little slack on that offense. They're going to have a really good defense. I love Joe Alt. I mean, he's a top 3 pick in the draft at tackle. They have dudes. It's just, I don't know about Notre Dame. They have a tough schedule, though, too. Playing Clemson, Ohio State, and USC, those are 3 teams I have in my top 5. So just a tough schedule for them. North Carolina, love Drake May. They got some dudes on that offense. I think they're going to be a really fun team, but they're not going to be able to stop anyone. So I haven't gone 8-4. They're a team that's going to compete with every game. I think they're going to have a chance to be in every game just because of the Drake May, that offense, but their defense probably won't stop anyone for the 20th year in a row for North Carolina. So I have them going 8-4. Utah 9-3. I almost forgot Cam Rising came back, but I mean, he's a hell of a college quarterback. I love that dude, and they just have talent. They're always really good, really well coached team in Utah. 9-3. Like I said, Pac-12's tough this year. So TCU was a hard one for me. Personally, as a TCU fan, I was a little lower. They got some really good dudes. I love the Trey Sanders signing. They got a couple dudes coming back, but they lost a lot of talent to the draft, which really scares me. Like, they lost a lot of dudes if you look at that draft. But we'll kind of see. I have them at 9-3 right now. I have them losing to Texas and then 2 of Kansas State, Oklahoma, Iowa State. I just think it was a really special year. And especially with Garrett Riley leaving and going to Clemson, I think he was a really big part of that offense. So, yeah, I think they just lost a lot of talent. Oklahoma, 9-3. I haven't really gone too in deep in like studying Oklahoma. I'm not a huge Gabriel fan. I think he's good. I don't think he's gonna like carry a team. Brett Venables had a rough first year at Oklahoma, even though they had a solid record just in terms of what Oklahoma expects. So then my honorable mentions that I haven't done too much research in that I think are going to be kind of the best rest. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them slips in the top 10, but I didn't really look into is Tulane, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Oregon State, and Miami, some of the next guys up. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into my playoff predictions, and I put them in top 10. I'll show you that now. I got to build up a little drama, so we're going to start at bottom 10. I got Oregon at 10. Washington, you see, I have here 11-2. I had them 11-1 in the regular season, so I have them losing in the Pac-12 championship. You'll see who that is too later. Same thing with Clemson, 11-1 season, losing in the ACC championship. You see, there's a lot of championship losers. Bama, same story, 11-1. I think they lose in the SEC championship, which knocks them out for the second year in a row with no Bama in the playoffs. It's crazy, but that's how I have it, man. Texas, I have going 12-1. They win their conference, but still missing out because there's just a lot of good teams. Like, Texas can go 12-1 with their only loss to Bama, but I still just think there's 5 teams better than them. And I'm really high on Texas. I think Quinn Ewers is going to have a great year, but I'm sorry, there's just a lot of really good teams. But I do have them winning the Big 12, going 12-1. Then at number 5, you can see it there, Michigan. I'm sorry, you lost to Ohio State. The Big 12 or the Big 10, just doesn't understand to just get rid of conferences. The SEC finally figured that out. Like, man, like I hate how like Ohio State and Michigan are in the same division, so we just never see them play in the Big 10. It's whoever wins that game is just winning the Big 10. That basically is the Big 10 championship every year, is Michigan versus Ohio State. Like, and then it ends up being some random game where it's like Michigan or Ohio State's playing like Northwestern, Maryland, or some other team, maybe Penn State, but like it's just, please, Big 10, just have us a championship. We want to see Ohio State versus Michigan back to back because they played last week. Come on, give it to us. But yeah, they just miss out because they lose. And so you can see the common theme here. These are all teams with really good seasons and then lost. And yes, you do see that right. There are 2 Pac-12 teams, and Bama misses every 3 times in a row. That's interesting, but that's not what you guys care about. You guys want to see the college football playoffs. Let's go ahead and get right into that. Here we go. This is my prediction for the college football playoffs. We got coming in at number 4, Florida State. I have them losing to Clemson in the regular season, but then fighting the demons off and beating Clemson. Second time they play them in the ACC championship, going 12-1 with some pretty good wins on their record. They'll have wins against Notre Dame, Clemson. There's going to be another ACC team like Miami, NC State, another couple good wins on their record. I think it's hard to if their only losses to Clemson, who I had at 6, I think, 6 or 7 is their only loss, and they end up beating them in the SEC championship, I think you got to include them just because of that talent. Coming in number 3, I have USC. USC fends off Washington. That's going to be – so basically what I have it coming down to is I have USC versus Washington in the Pac-12, and that game's basically winner makes the playoffs, loser doesn't. Which I think if that happens, that's 2 11-1 teams going at it in the Pac-12 championship. Winner makes it to the playoffs. You can't ask for more. I have USC fending off Washington, winning the Pac-12 and making the playoffs. Let's be honest, the college football playoffs they're trying to pick the best teams, but let's be honest, they also want to make money. And Caleb Williams is going to make money. So if USC has a chance, they're making the playoffs. They screwed themselves over. All they had to do was beat Utah in the Pac-12 championship last year, and they could have made it, but they didn't. So I'm scared about USC. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting USC they're going to be here. I'm scared about it. I think they're going to lose some dumb games. That's why I don't have them going undefeated. But I think when it comes down to it, I trust Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley more than any other quarterback or coach in the Pac-12. So USC coming in at 3. Georgia coming in at number 2. I have them going undefeated. They beat Bama in the SEC championship. That's why Bama got knocked out. And then number 1, I have Ohio State going 13-0. They beat Michigan last week of the season. Whoever they play, I don't know whether it's Penn State or Northwestern or Maryland or Rutgers. It's not going to be Rutgers, let's be honest with ourselves. But whoever they play in the Big Ten championship, if they beat Michigan, I think they'll be fine. Michigan's my only worry for them. So I have them going 1. And I guess you get into the debate of Ohio State versus Georgia. For me, I would just have Ohio State would just have the better win. I think Michigan is the best win out of either of those two teams. So beating Michigan, and then Penn State's another really good win for them. Whereas Georgia, I guess you would have Bama and LSU. Or Bama and Tennessee. I don't think they play LSU. So it'd be Bama and Tennessee. I just think Ohio State has the better wins. I wouldn't be surprised if that's flip-flopped. That's kind of up. But these are my 4. Like I said, I know I'm higher on Florida State than others. USC, I probably am higher on others than 2. But this is how I got it shaken out. If these games were to be played, honestly, I think Ohio State whoops Florida State. I'm sorry. I love Florida State. I'm going to be rooting for them this year. They're my sleeper team this year. But I got to be honest. Ohio State would run them out of the stadium, which sucks for the college football playoffs. But actually, no, they put up a good fight. But I think Ohio State definitely wins. And then Georgia versus USC could be a really good game. Being able to see Caleb Williams go against that Georgia defense would be a dream for every college football fan wants to see Caleb Williams versus that Georgia defense. That game's hard, but I would probably lean Georgia in that one. So I guess I would come to a Ohio State-Georgia rematch of the semifinal from this year in the national championship. And I'm taking Ohio State, man. I think Kyle McCord's going to be the better quarterback, which is going to be tough. I don't know if they've announced who's actually playing Georgia. I know they had competition, but this Ohio State team, when you just look at this Ohio State team is the best team in the nation on paper. I don't think that's an argument. You just look at the talent at every level they have. They have 4 top 50 potential picks in the NFL draft on the D-line, potential first-round linebacker in Eichenberg. They have 2 potential DBs that could be top 50 picks in the NFL. You go to the offense, they have 2 first-round receivers. They have 2 potential top 5 running backs in the draft. They're going to always have good O-line talent. You don't have to worry about that at Ohio State. As much as I'm not a Ryan Day fan, I think they could do better than him. I mean, he still has won games, and I don't think it's that big of a coaching disparity. Wages, you have a lot more questions with Georgia. If AD Mitchell stayed on Georgia, that'd be a completely different conversation because I think he's really good. Sucks that he left. I still think Georgia's gonna be great without him, but just when I'm looking at those teams, Ohio State, I'm just gonna take what's on paper because neither quarterback situation I'm confident in. So I'm gonna take the better team on paper, and that's Ohio State. So for me, I got Ohio State winning it all. Let me know other teams. I haven't done too much research. Like I know a lot of people are really high on like Tulane. Maybe not to be like in the playoffs, but to be a good team. I haven't really looked into them. I know they beat USC. Lost Tajay Spears to the draft, but a lot of people high. Let me know your sleeper teams down in the comments. Any teams I'm lower on, higher on than you thought. Keep churning out the videos. Make sure you go check out. I did NBA quarterbacks compared or NFL quarterbacks compared to NBA players on my channel. I'm starting to post some stuff on YouTube Shorts and TikToks too. Check out some of those from my videos if you want. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one. And thanks so much for watching. And get ready because college football season is coming faster than you might think.